Welcome to this virtual tour of Studio Incamminati, School for Contemporary Realist Art in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where our home is the Bach Building, built in 1936 and opened in 1938 as Bach Vocational High School. It was rededicated in 2013 as a commercial-only makerspace and business, and also home to fashion designers, filmmakers, glass blowers, woodworkers, and even a wholesale bakery. As Merle and Alyssa exit the elevator, they're going to move south and into level 1, which is where our beginning students start their education. Let's take a look in the space of level 1. So what do we see? We see all artificial light, where the lighting is sharp, it's simple, the walls do not bounce light all over the place, they absorb light. We see dark curtains to soak up light. We even see, if you look carefully, shades that are blockout shades. Studio Incamminati promotes an education acquired within specific lighting environments. This is an east-west oriented space, so we use it for primarily artificial light, which is not a soft light, a very sharp light. You can see from those shapes, it's a very sharp light. So what are the students doing? They're studying gesture. They're looking at weight, they're looking at stance, they're looking at movement, they're trying to understand the shapes of the body, and they're trying to get set on a very dynamic system. This is the foundation of our entire program, and that is a very vital and dynamic foundation. It's rooted in gesture. The students try to work proportional thinking into gesture, but gesture is the foundation, it's the core. They do their drawings in this situation, in this level, by way of many short poses. They might do a few hundred short poses as they go through and look at the body. You can see several of these fluid charcoal drawings. Charcoal is very related to oil paint because it encourages a student to work in mass and to see in a kind of holistic manner. We move toward level 2, the second year space. Take a look at the arrangement of the studio. You'll see some gray-toned walls, a darker ceiling, again, all calibrated to absorb light so that we can work under very controlled situations. We've got some window light now because this is north exposure, and the window light is mainly hitting the canvases. You see it right there. And then we have a baffle, a large dark cloth baffle, to shield the model from light invading the model's space. So the students can work under these controlled lighting conditions with a little bit more complexity involving natural and artificial light. Notice the proximity of the students to the model, which isn't too far. And then in terms of what they are studying, they're looking also very attentively at the figure in grisaille this time. So now they've moved on to oil painting, and they're massing in lights and shadows and studying the patterns of dark and light as light on form, trying to understand structure. Here you see some grisaille paintings there. Beautiful figure, loose, and then you see some color studies here. This is also happening in level 2. Figure in an environment. So we're still at level 2, but now we're going to make our way to the roof in an area that we call the East Terrace, where you see Professor Malman working with his students under a very beautiful, subtle, poetic gray day. So this follows a tradition of painting in natural light, in outdoor lighting, and this tradition began in this country in earnest in 1899 under the tutelage of the founder of the Cape Cod School of Art. His name was Charles Hawthorne, and his student, Henry Hinchy, was one of the instructors of our founder of Incamminati. So we're trying to utilize outdoor lighting in this situation to teach students the nuances of natural color manipulation, natural light color. They're doing this by studying geometric forms on a tabletop and studying them, as they say, with one muddy spot relating to another. We find this to be a very useful way of bringing in a more broad dialogue about indoor lighting, outdoor lighting, and the use of this lighting with the palette. There you see our wheelchair ramp for handicap accessibility. As we pan across North Philadelphia, we are going to re-enter the 7th floor and move on from level 2 to level 3, where you will see the present exhibition, which we're very proud of, Rising Voices. So entering level 3, we're going to be witnessing Natalie Italiano teach her figure in long pose class to the level 3. This is a third-year students. They're also studying the figure, and you're going to get a very insightful shot in a second or two about how different this situation is. See it right there? That's a hot artificial light with very soft edges. It's in a soft glow kind of container or box. And that changes things. That brings edges to the forefront in addition to massing. Now with that light, which is very particular, you can see the students massing in a warm artificial light on their figure, but they're also studying the figure in the environment, the full figure in the environment, in a very simple way with a full color palette. Now with their palette, which has been referred to as a kind of instrument like a piano, the students take the full palette and they analyze the conditions of light. That is, as the light changes, the orchestration of color masses completely change with it to put together a light condition that's unique to each scenario. Now, some of the amazing work that comes out of this level has to do with a warm-cool grisaille combination that we call duotone. It's a more nuanced system of study that brings together the notion of transparency and opacity and grisaille and color. That is, when you allow the passage of paint to go thinner, it tends to go darker and cooler, and when you push it in and make it more opaque, it tends to go lighter and warmer, like in this example here, done from life. That example as well. See the difference between the duotone warm cool grisaille and the grisaille itself. And a lot of diagramming going on. This is a demo school. It's very demo-centric. The students like to explain, to describe, but then also to show. So now we move on to level 4, and you'll see an immediate contrast. As we go into level 4, what's different? The light is much more noticeable in the form of the north light coming in from the windows. You see the aperture has been opened. It opens from the top in the Northlight Studios. You see that in this shot. And you get this flood of cool north light, which now is a variability because it's natural. It's not artificial, it's not a constant. And so the students in level 4 have a much greater challenge to their painting process as they try to understand how to modulate edges from color masses and form into the shadow version of the same form. That takes us into a private studio space in level 4. This is Yuko Studio. She's underway in her independent visual thesis development, where she's building a body of work. So she's in a smaller studio space. You can see she's got all of the accoutrements that an advanced student would need, like a big mirror, a hat to shield her eyes in her silhouette painting situation. She's got lots of studies. She's got a mannequin, and she's got a model. Along with her écorché, you can see a bit beyond the model, and the designs, the different proposals of color. So now we are encouraging students to take the color skills and incorporate them into something that would be more tuned into the mood of the painting, and that goes to the story of the painting. So gesture becomes body language. Color becomes mood and subtlety, and similar to filmmaking, I would imagine. These are some beautiful paintings from not only level 4, but also fellowship. This takes us finally into our newest spaces, our Skylet Spaces, which have been built with a museum-designed light-diffusing substance called Callwall, a kind of double-pane glass-like material. We've designed these as large apertures, oriented essentially like a 30-60-90 triangle, or what's called a sawtooth design, with the large surface facing south. This allows the light to essentially bathe, speaking of canopies, the model in a very descriptive, very subtle manner. And at present we have sculpture and in fact écorché being taught in this space. And you should note it's being taught to painters, because we want our painters to not only identify conceptually with form making as they paint, but also to identify viscerally, to develop a tactile sense of form making. And this is why we engage in not only portrait sculpture, but as I said, écorché, which, if you're not familiar, is a form of reverse dissection. So those subtleties can be organized and analyzed under a very specific kind of lighting. It's lighting designed by artists for artists, so that each space has a specific benefit to the students at various levels and isn't either too complicated or too ill-considered for the program. The curriculum and the space go together, and the profound thoughtfulness that exists within the program to sync up the spaces and the learning objectives can thrive. So we thank you very much for paying attention to this brief tour. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you step back and squint. And we'll see you again soon.